Hi, I'm Erin Marcus. Welcome to the Ready Yet podcast. We're excited to bring you more than 100 episodes of interviews and insights designed to help entrepreneurs get the financial and emotional freedom they need in order to build a business and a life they're proud of. All right, welcome to this episode of the Ready Yet podcast. I'm excited about my guest today, Sue Kirchner. Here's why. You just said something as we were getting ready to record. You said it a little differently than I said it, but it's the same vein of what's so important for people. Before we jump into it, everybody, because I could just go right off, tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, first of all, for having me on, Erin. I'm thrilled. Always love talking with you. This is going to be fun. But I'm Sue Kirchner. I have a company called Brand Strong Marketing. And what I do is I help small and mid-sized businesses who are starting to scale to identify their unique brand so they can attract more customers, clients, and capital. To grow faster and easier. Yeah, I am absolutely fascinated with working with organizations, digging in to find out what makes them tick, what makes them unique on their best day, what can they possibly do for their ideal clients. And in a lot of cases, I have to point out who their ideal clients are and help them with that. And really create that foundation that's going to drive all of their messaging, all of their marketing, all of their pleas to their different audiences to help them grow. And I just absolutely adore being able to go and do that. And I like to say one of my favorite things about what I do, because I focus on an organization and telling them what they're absolutely amazing at, is I love making business owners and executives fall in love with their business again. Because we all deal with so many problems every day. There's always a fire to put out. There's always something that went wrong. There's always this and this. But to have somebody come in and just say, stop for a second, take a breath. Here is what you're amazing at. This is why you do.
We don't usually hear that, right? We feel like we're screaming it from the rooftops, which is massively uncomfortable, which is why more people don't do it. And yet we don't have that reflected back. But you said something about this that I really like. You said you help them get their story straight. And I love that because my version of that is if you don't know who your people are, they don't know who they are. And and you and I have the same problem. I'm going to just call it a problem. The fact that you and I both love marketing makes us not understand why other people don't love marketing.
You're like, what's wrong with you?
How do you love it? But to me, I call it do the work before you go to work.
Yeah.
This is not extra work. This is the work you do to make all the other work actually work.
Oh, exactly. And that's what I tell my clients all the time is I like to say, I'm the person you talk to and work with before you spend any money on marketing, right? Because we all know I've had it happen. I'm sure you've had it and you've seen clients who've had it, who they come in and they're already mad because I worked with an agency or I did this marketing and it was a complete waste of time and money. And then when you drill down and you ask them, why didn't it work? They didn't know who they were talking to. So the message wasn't relevant. They were saying something that was important to them, but it wasn't important to the customer. It didn't attract them in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, it's important to do this foundational work because it is the brand strategy is basically the flip side of the same coin as your business strategy. And one has an internal focus, the other one has an external focus, which is the brand. And it's basically bringing that vision of where your company is going, how you operate, what you can do. It's bringing that to life so other people can see it and be attracted to it.
And so many people, I think there's a lot that goes on. Like, why does this trip people up? And I think it's a mixture of one, they just don't know. That's fair. They just don't know. They know how to do the thing that they do. Two, we used to call it a microwave society. That feels a little dated. Now I call it Amazon Prime society. Like, if I can't have what I want by 2 o'clock, forget waiting until tomorrow. Why aren't you delivering it same day? Where we think that no work has to go into creating the outcomes that we want.
Exactly. And so it's branding. I was told, and this is something we could talk about later, something that's plagued me my whole career is nobody wants branding. No one's going to spend any money on branding. Or it's everybody wants it, but nobody needs it. You're a nice to have, not a have to have, which I adamantly have seen in 25 plus years of working with clients. That is absolutely not true. But the thing that I find amazing is why would you invest so much money in marketing, especially as you're starting to scale and every dollar counts as to where you're putting it to grow the business? why would you spend money if you don't know where it's going, what it's doing, who it's talking to, and that it really tells how you're going to offer value to the people that you're trying to attract.
And
So,
people who say that you don't need it or you don't need it yet, all I keep thinking about is, I'm sorry, have you not heard of Harley Davidson, Coca-Cola, Nike, Kim Kardashian? If you, Jason Kelsey, you can pick any of these. The reason you know exactly what these things are is because of their branding.
oh, exactly. And you don't have to be, this is another thing that I'm trying to work on with my new podcast, Turbo Branding, is I used to get so frustrated when I was dealing with my clients who were all small business owners, right? Small and mid-sized business owners. And I was a small business. And you would go to these conferences on branding, and every example was Nike or
Right.
Apple or Mercedes-Benz
Well, they
or
make it so easy.
some of these things. And you sit there, and then I turn to my clients and they're like, I don't have that kind of money. I'm not ever going to be Apple. I'm not Coca-Cola, where everyone on the planet is my target market. So I love focusing in and highlighting the small businesses who are doing just an amazing job of owning their niche, or of owning the fact that they know how to tell their story to their clients, and they're starting to grow faster than they ever have.
And a small business that always comes to mind with this is a friend of mine, Unique Larry.
Okay.
And Unique Larry is a carpet cleaning business.
I know Unique Larry, and it's funny because it was like he has a brand that
Well,
you
and the dog who has since passed, and there's a new dog, but Wally,
I
the
think it
white
was Wally, yeah.
dog with the big
Mhm.
smile, was part of the brand because one of his, and you wouldn't think that a carpet cleaning company would have a content pillar, and yet dog messes was one of his absolute brand identity content pillar. And look at his crazy, everyone in the North Shore of Chicago knows who Unique Larry is.
Everyone knows him. It was amazing. Yeah. And there's little things like I had a gentleman who used to sell print to me eons ago when I was in the marketing communications department. And he always had a carnation on his suit lapel. And after a while, I asked him, I'm like, why do you insist on having this carnation here? And he said, because people remember me. And I was like, yeah, that's just absolute
And
genius.
sometimes it could be a little thing like that. And sometimes it could be, here's another example that people don't realize, this is brand. So I have a friend, her name is Tammy, and
Mhm.
she's an amazing woman. She's a life coach. She is a soft place to land.
Mm.
Just a pleasant, her energy. And so we have a mutual friend who jokes around with us and says, if this isn't brand, this is dead on. I want Erin to motivate me in the morning, and I want Tammy to read me a bedtime story. Now, here's
Yes.
the thing, Tammy and I agree on everything.
Yeah.
We agree on everything. We have
Right.
very similar views. We are so different from a brand perspective
Yes.
that it's obvious to our world, when do you need Erin and when do you need Tammy?
Exactly. And it helps from the branding perspective of finding your ideal target market, right? Because there will be some people who will absolutely gravitate to you and your energy and your style, and others may feel incredibly more comfortable with someone maybe a little bit more peaceful, a little bit more
You
quiet.
can be blunt about this. I scare the living bejesus out of people on occasion. It is what it
No,
is.
no, but you're right. But someone to walk them off the edge all the time, or that kind of a thing. And that's what makes the world so great, is because there's
Right.
someone out there who can help you. Same as when you're looking at your own brand, you don't serve everybody, because we've all heard that story of if you try and serve everybody, you serve no.
I learned it. There's no money in the middle.
Yeah, there's no money in the middle. So you need to be, and I like to say there's courage in branding, because you absolutely have to say no to certain things. You have to put your flag in the ground and say, this is what I stand for. This is what I do.
Or even like, you don't, and here's the thing, people, you don't even have to be a jerk about it. You
Mhm.
can just be like, you know what? This is my teeny tiny sweet spot where I am amazing.
Yes.
It's not that I can't help you on this side. Like, I'll give you an example for me. My sweet spot with clients, depending on the business, is they're over 100K. They're into a couple six figures, but 5 million is where I cap out, because it's not that I was C-suite at a $56 million company. It's not that I
Yeah.
don't know how to do that,
Right.
but the rules are different there. The
Right.
problems are different there. I don't want to play in that sandbox.
Yes. Yes.
So it's like, where are you the best you?
Exactly. And that's what the brand should help you see. And it should help you make those hard decisions, which are, I don't want to chase that type of customer anymore, or things like that. And like you talked about, I have so many customers who like, they get absolutely nerve-wracked when we're like, no, this is your ideal customer. And they're like, yeah, but what if this person, or what if it, and I'm like,
You
hey,
have to say no to them.
exactly. If they come to you and it's not going to disrupt your operation in any way, shape, or form, or not be profitable, by all means, work with them if they came to you. However, when you have a limited amount of time, energy, and money to spend on marketing, you're not going to market to that person. You're going to market to the people who you have the best opportunity of getting them to convert or attract them.
And don't confuse marketing niche with client portfolio. Two completely different things. If you do your marketing really well, the people on the periphery, your brand message and everything, the people on the peripheral of that will also be attracted to you.
Correct. Correct. And they may be attracted to you. Maybe they're not, as you said, your niche. Maybe they're not your ideal customer or the right niche that you're going after, but they've seen the amazing work that you're doing and no one is filling that niche for them.
For them.
So then they're saying, hey, could you do this for me? Because I can't find anybody else who can. And that's not a bad thing. But yeah, but like I said, understanding in a lot of what I concentrate on with clients is prior to COVID, but then especially during COVID, for small businesses, one of the biggest problems they have, not just finding customers, is finding talent. It's finding employees, because no one's heard of their company. And a lot of times they don't even advertise that they're looking for someone, or they don't advertise appropriately that they're looking for someone. I had a client who was like, we can't hire anybody. If we can't get at least 2 more people and we can't serve more customers, and I could bring that business in. So it's actually hurting our growth by not having these 2 people. And but I can't get anyone to work here. And it was 2 things. One was, why should they work here? Can you answer that question adequately? Tell me the story of why they should work here. And that's your employer brand, right? But then the other side is I'm like, where are you saying that you're looking for somebody? Oh, we had one job slot on Indeed. And I'm like, okay, but that can't be enough to find it. And I said, and then if someone does see the job posting on Indeed, what are they going to do next?
They're gonna go look you up.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know. I'm like, they're gonna go look you up. And on your website, you don't say anything about what it's like to work there. And I said, and you don't even say that you're hiring. And then they're gonna go look at your social media account to see, oh, I want to see if their employees, do they give shout outs to their employees, or are they doing community work or things like that? And there's nothing.
Does someone identify with your brand as a team member as much as they identify with your brand as a client?
Exactly. And there was nothing there. And I said, and that's the problem, is if you're looking to bring talent in, you have to spend just as much time advertising why you're a great employer brand as you are a brand for your clients. And it helped. Within 3 months, they got 2 people in and started to grow again. But it took pointing out that not only is this the process to finding people and convincing them, but then just what is the story? Why should they work here? Why are you a great place to work? Especially when you're trying to attract top talent.
Right.
You're a small business no one has ever heard of. What makes you different? For this particular client that I was working with, the industry was very conservative, but their company culture was very edgy and very entrepreneurial. And I'm like, that will appeal to someone. You need to be talking about that when you're promoting that you have a job opening and things.
So what got you into this? What's your origin story with this?
What's my origin story? I have a very long origin story because I bounce around a lot.
You and me both.
What I found in my journey is that nothing is linear.
And it only makes sense like in way hindsight.
Yeah. Oh, in way hindsight, because I remember being right out of school and I got a job at Motorola, which was not a marketing company, but I was lucky enough that having lived in Latin America for a number of years, I spoke Spanish fluently. So I was lucky enough to be brought into Motorola to work in the cell phone division as it was taking off, and I got to do all marketing for Latin America. Yeah, so that was awesome. But it was great because it let me see every part of marketing and advertising as opposed to being pigeonholed into PR or advertising or things like that. So I had a very well-rounded background. And then I got into a situation. I lived overseas for a number of years when my husband was transferred. But it came to a point where Motorola was moving my job to Florida. All Latin American employees or anyone who was serving the Latin American market needed to be in Florida. We're going to consolidate them all there in one office. And I was like, I'm not moving to Florida at the time. So it was exciting at that moment because I said, you know what? I'm going to go out and try my own thing. I've worked in corporate America for 8 years. I'm going to see if I can do my own thing. And I had so many people saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're going to give up a full-time job. You're going to do this. And I'm like, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Right. It
6 to
doesn't
8
work and I go get a job. Like I
6 to
already
8
did
months.
that.
Exactly. 6 to 8 months from now, I just start sending my resume out again and looking for a job, but I wanted to try it. And what I loved about that was it opened the journey to this nonlinear thing, which is I could do different things. And before it was like when I was at Motorola, it was like, okay, we're going to do this and become corporate VP at some time. It was completely, going that way, as you've seen. But when I went out and did my own thing, it was like, hey, do you want to learn about research? Yeah, I would love to learn about research. And I had a professor of mine at Kellogg who was like, help me do these research projects for clients that I have. I'm like, great. And then I actually ended up teaching a master's program in international business at Lake Forest Graduate School. Never in a million years had I thought of teaching. And that kind of created this love of teaching and presenting. And I have this love of
I don't know if you know
research.
this. That's where I got my MBA. That was a great program. That was
awesome program. And my skill, what you can say is my core skill, is writing and strategy, looking at patterns and problem solving and things like that. So my journey ultimately took me to the point where I realized finally, after a number of years, that there was a niche that I could fill that allowed me to use research. It allowed me to use writing. It allowed me to use strategy, and it allows me to use teaching and pull that all together into this brand consulting type of a job. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And there was a point
and you can tell. And I think that is a lesson in and of itself. When you talk about your story, and I know none of that happened for you in a minute and a half, but it's you just keep iterating.
Yes.
What it is you're great at, what it is that lights you up. And if you can do that at the same time, in service to the marketplace, by the way, not in a bubble that nobody wants to buy, but in service to solving an actual problem. And the more you can do that while simultaneously letting go of the things you don't like, that's the entrepreneurial dream.
That's absolutely. And like you said, it's like we were talking earlier in our conversation about what is your genius or your zone of genius or what are you really good at and stuff. It's someone could come to me and I could create your social media posts. Someone could come to me and yes, I can create a marketing plan for you, but there's a lot of other people who can do that and maybe even do it better. I said, where I am really good is coming into an organization and digging deep enough and asking the right questions to help see where you are unique. What is your brand and where you are unique and which type of customers gravitate to you? And then how do you translate that into a message that's going to grab their attention and make them want to at least hear more? Which is the goal of marketing, is to give you a chance to tell your story more. But I really love doing that. And yeah, it's like you said, it was nonlinear. I lived overseas and worked overseas for an international company. I started my own e-commerce business, and that's where I learned all about digital marketing and how it's that same cliche. If you build it, does not mean they will come.
No, that day we missed out on that golden era of the
exactly. So I had to learn all about digital marketing and driving people to your site and things like that. So by the time I got to Brand Strong Marketing, it was this complete soup amalgamation of all these skills that I had learned in my entrepreneurial journey and finding out, what am I really good at? What am I really able to uniquely deliver that a lot of people struggle with?
I absolutely love it. No, 100% agree. Very excited that you found it. I know there's a lot of people out there who are very excited that you found that.
I hope so.
So if people want to continue this conversation with you and learn more about this, and this is the backbone, this is the foundation. I honestly think one of the reasons I've been able to take a coaching business so far so fast is because the brand was solid right from the beginning.
Yeah.
There's been iterations of a logo, but to me, the definition I use for a brand is, how do people feel after interacting with you in any way?
Exactly.
And if you can be brave enough to be authentic and embrace it,
Yeah.
that is what gets you through the iterations of your.
It does. It does. And it's absolutely hard to say no. And I interviewed some CEOs about 10, 15 years ago about just the importance of branding. Because like I said, I have this chip on my shoulder of people. I was like, no one's going to invest in branding and things like that.
I don't
So
know how one comment like that can mess you up, right?
it can mess you up. And I've had the same thing with a book. No one wants to read a book about branding and no one wants to, you know what, at a certain point, that's what I stand for. I stand for the fact that the brand is absolutely essential if you want to grow your business, especially as you start to scale. And so I need to keep yelling that. I need to keep showing people that it's true and that they need to invest in it and things like that. But I had a CEO tell me at one point, and I thought it was a great comment that he had made. He said, when you're entrepreneurial and you're just starting out, he said with his company, which was an executive recruiting firm, he said the first 5 years we were order takers. And then we finally got to the point after 5 years where we could be order makers, meaning we knew who we wanted to work with, what we wanted to sell, and we could actively, strategically go out and grab that kind of work as opposed to just taking whatever came our way because you have cash flow that you need to cover. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you do at some point have to realize, and especially when you start to scale, is okay, now we have to get this down. What is our strategy? What is our goal? What is our vision? Where we're going? Who are our customers? So that we don't waste time, energy, and money making mistakes or getting sidetracked along the way. And trust me, I am the biggest person who gets distracted by shiny objects. Have to be.
You would be doing what you were doing if you didn't. Welcome to the
reeled
club.
in. But yeah, so I have to really tell my clients, I get it when it's hard to say no, but you have to.
So if people want to continue this conversation
Yes.
with you and learn more, what's the best way to find you?
Yeah, best way to find me is my website, brandstrongmarketing.com. All the links to my social profiles, LinkedIn, YouTube channel. And then I'm also launching Turbo Branding, which is my podcast, of which I will be having you as a guest. And I'm excited about that. That's on YouTube and we'll be launching probably in a couple months. So
brandstrongmarketing.com. This is how I know when I'm talking to a marketing person. You ready? You did it. You did it.
Yes.
One call to action.
One call to action. Go to my site. You'll find everything you need.
I agree. I say that I do the same thing. And I always ask people that, and they list off 7 or 8 things and people lose track. So if you've taken nothing else away, call to action.
Go to the website. At least start there. If you get lost, you at least have my number.
Know where to find you. So thanks you so much for hanging out with me. It's always fun to talk to people who I know get it and are excited about the same. You can join. I have a little group of marketing nerds. You can join with us.
Oh, awesome. I love marketing nerds. Yes.
Yay. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Thanks, Erin. I really appreciate it.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Ready Yet podcast. I truly enjoy bringing these stories of success and inspiration to you. Please join us in our mission to empower entrepreneurs to be in charge of their businesses and in charge of their lives by sharing this with anyone you know who would benefit from our tactical and motivating advice, leaving us a review, and letting us know if there are any particular topics you would really appreciate hearing about. See you next time.